Hi guys, Dr. Mel here. We're busy with chemical equilibrium and we've done the Kc values and what chemical equilibrium is. But now we're going to have a look at Le Chatelier's principle. Remember, it has to be a closed system. If it's open, no equilibrium will happen. We have to know the definitions and we need to know which will be the factors that will affect that equilibrium. And we are actually going to use those factors in the Le Chatelier's principle. We did calculate Kc and we determined the Kc with a table. Now we're going to have a look at what Le Chatelier actually found. Now, if we have a reaction, we can see it will go to the forward in the beginning. So if I go back and I just draw that little diagram that we had in the beginning, we said if we've got water in the liquid phase and we are increasing the temperature, water will go to the gas phase or damp. If I close this container, if I close it off, the water gas will go back to the liquid. So I've got a forward reaction and I've got a reverse reaction. And as soon as those two reactions happen at the same tempo, that reaction is happening in 2 seconds, and this reaction is happening in 2 seconds. It seems like the reaction stopped, but it's actually in chemical equilibrium or dynamic. It's still going up and still going down, but it seems like it's in equilibrium. If I go to this reaction, firstly it will go that way, and then gradually it will start reversing, and as soon as that forward and this reverse reaction is exactly the same, I then have chemical equilibrium. Now what that means is that the product's concentration will now be the same, and you can continue for the next hour and that products will remain the same as well as the reactants. It will remain exactly the same. And remember, that's what we worked out when we worked out the relationship between the products and the reactants with Kc. Now, if we take a very common chemical reaction, and this is really just a game I'm playing. There is no reactants like SA, and there's nothing like SOL. But we all know what Sasol is. Sasol is the fuel that we put into our cars, and in the South African environment, most of us should know that Sasol is a huge industry. Now, let's say, for instance, we are putting in reactant 1, SA, and reactant 2, SOL, and it forms Sasol. It will go forward in the first time span, but then at some stage, because it's in a closed container, the Sasol will start forming SA and SOL, and as soon as the reverse reaction is exactly the same as the forward reaction, I will have equilibrium. Now, that's not good news for the yielding of Sasol, for the production of Sasol. You can put in SA and SOL and you form Sasol, but as soon as it's going back to SA and SOL, you've got actually no product to sell. So the manager on the plant will come to the board and say, guys, we're not making money. We actually aren't making a product. So in industry, we don't want chemical equilibrium. And in order for us to get some product, we've got to disturb the chemical equilibrium. And that's actually the work that was done by Louis Henry Le Chatelier. So Henry Louis Le Chatelier was the guy who said, if you disturb the equilibrium, and remember it will only happen in a closed system, the system will reinstate a new equilibrium by opposing the disturbance. So whatever you're doing, the reaction of the system will counteract that exact disturbance. Let's go through it again. It has to be a closed system. You've got equilibrium. I'm now going to disturb it externally, and I can either change the temperature, I can change the concentration, and I can change the pressure. You can actually, on a sisal plant, go and you can either increase or decrease the temperature. You can throw more reactants in or make it more concentrated or less, or you can change the volume to increase the pressure or decrease the pressure. That will then, that disturbance will have an internal effect which will try and reinstate by opposing the disturbance. So what it actually does, if you increase the temperature, the system will decrease the temperature. Well, the energy actually. It can't take the temperature down, but it can use the energy. If I increase the concentration, it can decrease the concentration. If I increase the pressure, it can lower the pressure. So that's the counteract. Now let's have a look. The disturbance is increase in temperature, as we said just now. The reinstatement is decrease. The decrease in temperature is an increase, that's an increase in temperature or energy. Remember, you can't, the system won't lower the energy. It will use the energy or it will make energy. If I increase the concentration, the system will try and decrease. If I decrease concentration, it will increase concentration. If I increase pressure, it will lower the pressure. And if I lower the pressure, it will increase the pressure. Now, do you see that it's actually the opposite? Now, I call this opposite the mother-in-law. And you aren't married yet, but you may know people that's just difficult. If you want to eat sugar, they want to eat salt. If you want coffee, they want tea. It's just really always the opposite. So what's happening here? The disturbance is happening on the plant. The reaction in itself is this mother-in-law. It does exactly the opposite. Now let's go and have a look. How will the question be answered and what will be asked? They will tell you, I'm disturbing the system with an increase or a decrease of either the concentration or the temperature or the pressure. You'll have to ask these questions, and you'll find it in some of the textbooks. You'll find it on the internet. You'll have to have these questions because that's the marks that you will be getting. What is the disturbance? Now you see what I wrote there in my table. What will be the counteracting of that disturbance? Well, it's easy. If you increase the concentration, it will try and decrease. It will try and decrease the energy, increase and decrease pressure as I just shown you. So it's actually the opposite. Now, which reaction will be favored? You will either favor the forward or you will favor the reverse. And I'll show you now when we do a real reaction. What will happen with the reactants concentration? Well, if you have a look at this, if the reverse is being favored, it will increase the reactants and obviously lower the products. If the forward is favored, it will decrease the reactants and increase the products. It's quite logical. And then finally, what's the effect on Kc? And guys, you have to know, we've said it when we did Kc, it will have no influence on concentration, nor will it have on pressure, but it will be an influence if I change the temperature. So Kc value is only linked to temperature. Right, let's do a real reaction. I'm working on a plant. I am producing SO3 and I'm putting in a reactant sulfur dioxide with oxygen. Then I can do a few disturbances, the external things. I can increase the reactants. That's say for instance oxygen. Or I can decrease the oxygen, which is one of the reactants. I am going to say, what is the disturbing? You will say it's the increase or the decrease. What's the counteract? Now you remember in the back of your head, you've got mother-in-law. Mother-in-law will try and lower the reactants or increase the reactants. Now let's just go with the first one. If the reactants wants to lower, do you see there? Which reaction will be favored? Obviously the forward reaction, taking away the reactants, so it will be the forward. What will happen to the reactants and the products concentration? while the reactants will decrease. Can you see I'm taking it away? The products will form, and it's got no influence on the Kc. Let's do one where we change the products. Let's take out the products. We are decreasing the products. So I'm pumping this out. I've got a tube in there, and as the SO3 is forming, I am pumping it out. What will the system do to counteract? It will want to increase the product. Which reaction makes SO3? The forward reaction. What will happen to the reactants? It will go more to the products. So I've got more products and the reactants being decreased and no Kc. Guys, we need to know if I increase this side, it will counteract to go that way, the forward reaction. If I decrease this side, it will favor the reverse. On the other hand, if I increase the products, it will want to take it away, and if I decrease the products, it will form the products. It makes sense. You just have to have your pen ready and work with me. Now, I suggest you've got your A4 page and you draw a table, and you've got your concentration, your temperature, and your pressure on that table, and I'll show you just now how we're going to do it. If I work with temperature, I need to know, is this an exo or an endothermic reaction? Now, if you have a look at this, there's the indication. Can you remember? It's delta H, the enthalpy is smaller than 0. Now, I'm quickly going to draw that little graph that we did in the previous lesson. That will indicate to you that it's negative, it's lower, therefore it is exothermic. And if we then go back to our reaction, it's exothermic, so I'm writing the energy with the products. It's actually producing energy. I'm disturbing the equilibrium by increasing the temperature. Now, in your mind, you are seeing I'm increasing the energy on that side. The system wants to counteract. Mother-in-law wants to lower the energy. Which reaction will lower the energy? It will have to take the energy away. So it's the reverse reaction. What will happen to R? The R will increase. The products will decrease because it's moving that way. And the Kc value, which is the product over the reactant, the Kc, can you see the reactant at the bottom is increasing and the product is decreasing. So Kc will be smaller or decreasing. Let's quickly do the increase in temperature. That was increase. I'm going to lower the temperature. It wants to increase the energy. It will increase the energy this side by forming energy, meaning the forward reaction. So the forward will be favored. It will lower the reactants. It will increase the product. If the product at the top is increasing and the reactants at the bottom is decreasing, the Kc value will increase. Right, we did concentration. We now did temperature. What's the last factor that we can change? It's actually the pressure. So, can you see I've got 2 gas molecules here and 1 gas molecule there. So I've got 1 and 2 on this side, and it becomes 2 when it moves the forward reaction. So I've got 3 in total, 2 plus 1. On that side, in a relationship with 2. In actual fact, if it's equilibrium, I've got all of them in the same container. If I now lower the pressure, mother-in-law wants to increase the pressure. How can mother-in-law increase the pressure? Going from 2 to 3 molecules. So it will be the reverse reaction that will be favored. The reactants will be increasing, the products will decrease, and Kc is not actually determinant for the change in pressure. I'm going to increase the pressure. Remember, mother-in-law wants to decrease the pressure. To decrease the pressure, it will go from 3 to 2. And you can actually write that relationship down. You can say 3 to 2, which will be the forward reaction. It will decrease the reactants and it will increase the products, and no influence on the Kc. Guys, what did we do? And this is the table I'd like you to draw. Put your concentrations, your temperatures, and your pressure on one page so that you can actually see. You've got an increase and decrease, increase, decrease, increase, decrease, and you know mother-in-law is going to do the opposite, and then you just have to see which of the actions will be favored. It can only be the forward or the reverse. What will it do with the R and P? And then it's only the temperature that will influence the Kc value. In another question, and this is one of the typical questions in the exam, they've got the Haber process where they actually make ammonia, and it's a huge industry, and they want to know what is the change in N2H2, so those are the reactants, and the product if they change the temperature, concentration, and pressure. That's the question. Let's see. I'm going to do it in a table. I've got a reaction that's going to be favored, the reactants and the product there. I know an increase in temperature, it is an exothermic. So if I increase the temperature, it will want to go that way. So it will be the reverse reaction. It will increase the N2. Do you see this side? It will increase the H2 and it will decrease that one. What will happen if I increase the N2 this side? Well, if I increase the N2, it will want to take it away, mother-in-law. That will be the forward reaction. If the forward is being favored, it will lower the two reactants but increase the product. And finally, what happens if I increase the pressure? It wants to decrease the pressure. You've got 1 and 3 and 2, so I've got 4 to 2. It wants to lower, so it will go from 4 to 2, which is the forward. It will lower the N2, lower the two reactants, and increase the product. Guys, we need to know what we have in terms of Le Chatelier. What is the equilibrium and what's the counteract? A final change that we can do is actually if we've got two solutions. It is called the common ion effect. I've got a solution here, sodium chloride as a solid. I'm throwing water in it, and now I'm getting an ion of sodium plus and chloride, which is the negative ion. I'm now adding HCl. HCl is H plus and Cl minus. And interesting, what I'm doing by adding that, I'm increasing that ion. Can you see I'm adding that ion there? Now it's the question. I'm disturbing the equilibrium by adding more of the common chloride ion. It's the common ion. What will the reaction do? It will try and take it away. Which reaction will be favored? The reverse reaction. What will be the effect? More sodium chloride will form. You need to know the factors that can change. As we said, we can change with temperature, pressure, and concentration. And now you saw we can also do it with a common ion. You need to be able to define the Chatelier as well as identify the products. Go to any textbook. Science Clinic is freely available. Siavula, freely available on the internet. And then there's textbooks, excellent textbooks with exercises. I hope you get full marks when you answer the question on Le Chatelier. Bye.